Yeah, I understand that you do this.
All right, so like I said earlier, today is day five, and one of the into serious business today. I told us to do a little icebreaker. So we'll delve into the serious business today. Everything is working with two different levels. All right. So back to the little game we're going to play. It's basically facts or cap. I'll say sentences out to you guys, and then you guys will respond to me with whether you believe they are facts or cap. Let me just give you an example now. Maybe something like crude oil is always black. Is it fact or cap? That's correct. It's cap. Okay, so we'll just take out about maybe five or six, then just move along the way we have next day. Okay. You can tell how rich an oil field is by just looking at the soil. Fact or cap? Alright, fair enough. Waltersmith Petroman runs a modular refinery in Imo State. Fact or cap? Alright, fair enough. You guys made your research here. Offshore workers earn hazard allowances. Fact or cap? The cafeteria food tastes better when it's someone else's money. Fact or cap? Alright, okay. So half of you joined SPE because of free food. Fact or cap? Okay. Okay, the final one. Engineers think they are better at maths than but are you better at maths than everyone? Better than the pure mathematicians? Alright, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so we'll proceed to to continue what we have for today. I'd like to call on the president, Miracle KK, to give us a welcome speech.
Energy. There's no energy here. SPE. How are we doing today? Are we excited to be here? Are you sure? Give a round of applause for yourself. Good morning once again. My name is Miracle Okiki. Currently, I serve in the position of President of SPUI chapter. Welcome to Industry Week 25. So over the course of the week, we have a lot of activities. We've had companies come over. We've had capacity development in terms of bridging the gap between industry and academia, which is the background of which the industry was built upon. It's an initiative where we're trying to bridge the gap or the distance between the industry and the academia. And for this year, our theme is education, engineering the future, fostering talent development, Portuguese oil and gas challenges. And over the week, for the first day, we had Tosco Petro Cruise, Tosco Day, which was sponsored by Tosco. We had our students participate in this. Ahead of the Grand Prix. You're very much welcome, sir. We're happy to have you. All right, so as I was saying, for the first day, we had Tosco Day, and we had the keynote session taken by Professor Falaji. We had the Petro Quiz competition, which occurred for about a month. And on that day, we had the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals for the 8 teams that were remaining. And each of the winners got awarded the medals, the cash prize, and trophies. Over the years, we've done this, and it has also helped us in preparing for the national and international progress competition. And the evidence of that is quite visible as we have won the Nigerian Petro Quiz competition back to back and a number of times. We've also qualified for the international contest. And basically, these are things that are a ripple effect of the little things that we do here when we do our industry week. And it's evident in our performance in both national and international contests. For Tuesday, we had our health, safety, and environment day, where we had the HSE professional come and speak to us about HSE in the oil and gas. We also had the fire drill, where we had the false fire alarm, and some of you were transferring out. It was that point, which should not be so. But through that drill, through that experience, people were able to learn a lot about health, safety, and environment and the importance of this in our industry. And they could also understand what kind of fires and the kind of extinguishers that are used to quench kind of fire. So an amazing experience. We also had a panel session, a teacher session to do with a nutritionist and with a nutritionist talking about our physical health wellness, mental wellness, and things like that, which was also quite interesting and educating. Then for Wednesday, we had our Proline and Gasman Day, where we had Proline Energy Resources come with members of their team. We had a keynote session by the CEO himself, Mr. Peter Oyewole. We had a technical session by the head of business development in Gas Mine, which is Mr. Benjamin Sarumi. We had a panel session by some of the members of staff of Proline Energy Resources. And altogether, it was just a wholesome experience. Students got to understand the transition that is happening in the industry currently and how we could position ourselves to stay relevant in an emerging world. Then for Thursday, which was yesterday, we had our career day, and for career day, we had SP Lagos section come around and talk to us about what we could do as young professionals in the energy industry. We had a keynote session by Madame Ibigwe, which was virtual because she's currently in Canada. She currently serves as SP Lagos Section Chair, and she also works as a production domain lead with SLB. She talked about her professional journey, her career trajectory, and how volunteering in SP has aided her growth. Then Education USA also came around for career, speaking to us about graduate opportunities in the US, how to go about applications, how to go about funding, things like that. We also had mock interview sessions yesterday where a lot of people figured out that you're probably not fit for a full funding or a visa. And it was altogether a wholesome experience, an engaging one, and of course, an insightful one. And for today, which is day 5 of our industry week, and I mean, it's commonly said that you save the best for the last. So today we're having a fantastic day. We have 2 amazing professionals here with us. And it's quite amazing to know that these 2 people that are going to be speaking to us today, they were once here, like all of us. They once sat down and received lectures from Professor Showa. So these are the things, it just takes me back to what I said earlier. These are the things that keep students going, even when it doesn't seem so sure. When you see people that were once in your shoes and now they are doing amazing, now they are doing great stuff in the industry, there is that spark of belief again that if they can do it, I can do it. And it's just amazing that these people, despite their tight schedule and everything that they have going, I mean, they are in business and they're so popular doing the business to make profits. And we are not making them many millions of dollars, but they are here with us. It's just amazing. Please, a round of applause for them again. So it's quite unfortunate that some of our students have practicals, lab practicals now, the junior levels, and they might join a bit late, which is quite sad, but I know they will still be able to join and gain a lot from what's going to be happening today. And like I always say, don't just listen, ask questions, don't just attend the events, be part of the events. And I strongly believe that if everyone here is a part of this event, at the end of the day, your spirit will be spoiled and your knowledge bank will be filled because we're talking about wealth of experience here, we're talking about wealth of experiences. I just urge you to be part of this program. Take notes, take down questions, ask questions. These are people that on a normal day you have to write letters, pass through this, pass through that before you're able to see them face to face. But they are sitting down on the seat where you take your CP3, 315. It's just amazing. All right, so thank you very much for having me. My name remains Miracle OKK. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would like to invite the HOD to give us his remark for today. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. How you have been enjoying yourself? Since day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and today. I'm sure you are going to really enjoy yourself. So I want to welcome the team for Waltersmith. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your presence. Yes, sir. So I believe you've been learning, and again you are going to learn today. So open your heart and then learn as much as possible. Like the SBA president said, please ask questions. You understand? Okay, so we declare today's meeting open also by God's grace. So take care and thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your opening remarks. So, next up, I'll be reading the history of Waltersmith. So, please do well to listen attentively because potential Kahoot questions are in here too. Alright, so Waltersmith Petroman Oil Limited is a wholly Nigerian-owned integrated energy company established in 1996 as a joint venture between Waltersmith and Associates Limited and Petroman Oil Limited of Canada. By 2001, it became fully indigenous following Petroman's divestment. The company began operations in the upstream sector and gained prominence after acquiring the Ibigwe field in Imo State during the 2003 marginal field licensing round. Through consistent investment and innovation, Waltersmith successfully increased production from a few hundred barrels per day to several thousand, positioning itself as one of Nigeria's leading independent producers. In 2020, Waltersmith commissioned its 5,000 barrel per day modular refinery in Ibigwe, inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari. The refinery produces diesel, naphtha, and kerosene, contributing to Nigeria's local refining capacity and energy security. The project developed in partnership with Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board (NCDMB) is part of a larger plan to expand refinery capacity to 50,000 barrels per day. Beyond Nigeria, the company has extended its footprint into Equatorial Guinea and continues to pursue new opportunities within Africa's energy landscape. Guided by its vision to responsibly develop hydrocarbon and renewable resources for the benefit of humanity, Waltersmith remains committed to innovation, sustainability, and national development, standing today as a symbol of indigenous excellence and industrial growth in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Waltersmith Petroman Oil Limited. You can do more, you can continue doing more. So thank you very much. Right about now, I'll read out the citation of the Chief Executive Officer of Waltersmith Petroman Oil Limited before his keynote speak. So, Oladapo Filani is the Chief Executive Officer of Waltersmith Petroman Oil Limited. So, sir, can you please stand while I read your citation? Thank you very much. Oladapo Fulani is an accomplished petroleum engineer with more than 24 years of experience in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. Before he was appointed CEO of Waltersmith E&P, Oladapo was DGM, Corporate Strategy and Business Delivery at First Exploration Petroleum Development Company Limited, Nigeria. Oladapo Fulani is an exceptional and highly driven senior E&P professional and petroleum engineer. In about 2 decades, he has handled several business and technical leadership roles, leading multidisciplinary and multicultural teams with roles spanning strategy and planning, operations, portfolio management, gas commercialization, and asset development management. Oladapo is a strategic thinker, certified speaker, and coach with excellent emotional intelligence and the capacity to handle complex technical and business-related issues while empowering teams and promoting efficiency, collaboration, and innovation in a fast-evolving industry. Oladapo began his career at Adex Petroleum in April 2000, where he served in various capacities until December 2018, where he left as Senior Manager, Planning and Gas Development. During his time at Adex Petroleum, Oladapo held various technical and business-related, including Senior Reservoir Engineer, Head Field Development, and Manager Technical Planning. In 2019, he joined Eland Oil and Gas Nigeria Limited as Asset Development Manager, providing senior strategic and technical leadership for cross-functional OPCO-based development and technical teams. Subsequently, in April 2020, Oladapo left Eland to take up the position of DGM, Corporate Business Development and Non-Operated Ventures, at First Exploration and Petroleum Development Company Limited, Nigeria. In July 2021, Oladapo was appointed DGM, Corporate Strategy and Business Delivery. Oladapo has a first degree, BSc Honours in Petroleum Engineering from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. And an MBA in Oil and Gas Management from Aberdeen Business School, Nigerian University, Scotland. In addition, Oladapo is an alumnus of the prestigious London Business School. He's a member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers and the Nigerian Society of Engineers. So, ladies and gentlemen, Oladapo, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yesterday was Professor Sewa's inaugural lecture. Hope you guys gave him a nice celebration. Is he around by any chance? Okay. I need to pay due homage and respect to my lecturer and one of my mentors. I do have a speech written for me by my team, but I think I'll speak more from the heart before reading the speech. I'm here today with one of us, Mr. Emmanuel Bono. Emmanuel is currently Chief Petroleum Engineer and Geomasset within for Waltersmith Petroman. I think Emmanuel is one of us, because I'm aware of him. And one thing which we're saying to ourselves when we're coming is, all the nostalgic feeling. Okay, there's still two, there is the chemistry 157 lecture theater, and there is this lecture room in microbiology where you go to read at night when there's exams and all that. Do you still have all those small places where you can type to read? And what happened to the old building? It's still there. We still have petroleum engineering on the top floor. Okay. When I called this morning, I thought I was going to go to the top floor. But that's one floor that when they invite you to come to the HOD's office on the top floor, you have to hold yourself together and be sure that at least you're going there for the right reason. But the thing is, let me use 157 as a startup point. When we came on board, when I resumed at the Jambite, that was one course that there was a lot of fear around. And the first set of people that I met when I joined said, you have to do 157 is tough. You will fail it, you have to, some people repeat it, you get carried away and all that. But there's one particular person that we met that changed everything for us, for the people in my set at that time. And this guy got a 7-pointer in chemistry 157. And we asked him, so what did you do to get a 7-pointer? And he said, okay, make sure you go to class. Make sure you read after every class. Because when you skip your notes and you allow the things to pile up, it becomes a challenge. And make sure you are diligent in class. So he gave us what I'll call original, and then we passed it. But the thing is this, we had advice saying you can't pass it. We also had advice saying this is what you need to do to pass it. So what we're going to try to do today is try and share our own experience on the journey and also describe to you what is out there. And we'll sort of leave you with advice on what you need to do today to prepare yourself for the speech. First of all, I was born and bred on campus here. I'm not just an ex-student. I started my youthful life. I was living in Obadam area in Imo Street. I believe Imo Street is still there. And I lived on campus. My parents were teachers. My dad was a lecturer in geography. God bless his dad. And my mom was a teacher in a secondary school in town. So I was born and bred by teachers. I think that's made a world of difference in my life. So this is, so UI for me is coming back home. So I want to say good morning, distinguished faculty, alumni, students, members of Society of Petroleum Engineers. It is a profound honor to stand before you today, not only as a professional in the oil and gas industry, but as someone who has walked this very ground over 2 decades ago as a petroleum engineering student. Reflecting on my journey, I recognize that not the knowledge and practical experience I gained, the friendships I forged, and the challenges I faced have all played a crucial role in shaping who I am today. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to my lecturers and mentors for this. Returning here today feels like homecoming and serves as a poignant reminder of the vital role this institution, this faculty, and this department has played in shaping the talent pool and future leaders of the global oil and gas industry. My early career began at Adams Petroleum, and I think you guys have read my citation, and thanks for that. So I'm not going to go through all that. I served in various capacities. When I left Adams as senior manager, plant and gas development in 2018. During my nearly 2 decades at Adams Petroleum, I advanced through various positions, which thank you to the lady that read what's her name. Laura, thanks for that. So I'm not going to go through all that again. But in 2023, I was appointed as the CEO of Waltersmith Petroman Oil Limited, where I now lead one of Nigeria's leading and fastest growing indigenous oil and gas companies. Along the way, I've earned an MBA, we'll talk about that later, and I also became an alumnus of London Business School. But I think the foundation to all that laid on the Faculty of Technology and the Department of Petroleum Engineering, University of Ibadan. And for this, I'm grateful for. This is the bit I want to spend a bit of time on. And I titled it Climbing the Ladder. Several factors, including divine grace and favor, have influenced my career journey thus far. I want to share 5 key elements with you as you start to shape your future. A future that ultimately relies on the actions you take today and the daily habits and the self-discipline that you cultivate. The first one is continuous learning and professional development. It's very key. You have to build strong foundational knowledge in your core discipline. You know, when we're doing petroleum engineering, and to my colleagues, because they are students, we belong to the same firm. At the time we're about to graduate, there was a lot of uncertainty in the industry. Oil price was $8 per barrel, and there was this discussion around, are we going to end up in the industry or not? But one thing which I want to assure you is, irrespective, build strong foundational knowledge in petroleum engineering. You must have both breadth and depth in what you're doing right now. Because the same thermodynamics, the same Darcy equation, the same fluid mechanics, and everything you do right now is what we're applying every day. And the same principle that we're applying, drive mechanisms, everything you're being taught today is what we're applying on a day-to-day basis of it. So never stop learning. The energy landscape is changing fast. Seek mentorship and coaching from experienced professionals. The one thing to do is you carry a lot of power on your phone. Unlike when we were in school, I know for a certainty that if I want to use a computer when we're in school, you either go to somewhere in Agbo to pay for a computer center, a cyber cafe, or you go to Bolivia. But now you have a lot of power on your phone. You have access to knowledge, you have access to mentors directly and indirectly. So my first advice to you, make continuous learning and professional development your priority number 1. Business acumen and strategy thing, you have to develop and demonstrate a business mindset. You have to learn to read market trends. If I ask you today, what's the oil price today? Oh, go ahead, $60. What are the things that shape oil price? Okay. Thank you. So make sure you learn market trends. Because you never know as and when you have to bring that report, and to differentiate you between the next person. Reliability and work discipline be known for excellence. And I'll give an example of being known for excellence. So you heard when we were reading my citation, I have moved jobs a bit. I spent the longest part of my career in Adax Petroleum. It's about over 20 years in Adax Petroleum. In those periods, I had a particular boss that I worked with for about 7 years. And in those 7 years, I more or less would say I didn't have work-life balance. But this boss was very intense. We were going through a development phase, we're drilling, we're doing a lot of activities. I was a reservoir engineer. I was also a TA, technical assistant to this boss. So I do technical work and I do non-technical work. I write minutes of meetings, I do analysis for the boss. And when you have a boss that works Monday to Sunday, by default, I work Monday to Sunday. Okay? But the thing is this, what I used to take as CEO is what I learned being a technical assistant to the boss in my early days in Adax. Okay? So every day, try and make sure you deposit something. So you know the Bible says there is seed time, there is harvest time. In between seed and harvest time, there is time. So this, what you are doing in school today, this is your seed time. And the kind of seed you plant, based on the knowledge you acquire, the kind of network you build, based on the people you relate with, will to a large extent shape what you do when you have to reap the harvest. So you cannot plant orange and want to reap apple. So my first advice to you is whatever you do, no matter how small, so the HOD gives you an assignment, do it very well. Whatever it is. I'll give you another example, man. I had a choice. When I left school, my eyes were on Shell, Chevron, Total. I never thought about Adax. So one of the people that helped me to go to Adax is late Professor Mole, who was my supervisor during my final year. And he gave me a note to go and see somebody in Lagos, and the person sent me to Texaco. So I went to I remember walking into the Texaco building with my CV in hand, and I walked in the building, and he said, okay, we'll take you for NYS. So I walked in, I came out of there, and I said, okay, well, you're going to start the NYS. So in my mind, I was joining Texaco overseas at that time as a copper. A few days after, I get informed that the position was available, but it had to be given to someone that came from the top, and that I'll have to wait for another 6 months. Of course, I was devastated. All my views of joining Texaco overseas or joining Chevron was shattered. Then one Saturday in Lagos, when I was thinking, where am I going to end up with? I was walking around, my uncle worked in Yabate. I was going out on a Saturday morning with one of my friends. And he says, we need to see Uncle Tolu in Yabate. I said, why don't I see Uncle Tolu? So let's just stop by and say hello to them. We stopped by, and lo and behold, that Saturday morning, he had a friend of his that worked for NNPC in his living room. And the friend says, come, you're Professor Pilani's son. He said, I know your dad. That your dad taught me when he was in UI, because of social sciences. Your dad is known for integrity, he's known for thoroughness, he's known for, are you known for that, blah, blah, blah. I say, I can try. I don't want to, I'm not saying I will step into my dad's shoes. I still can't step into my dad's shoes. I'm not even making an attempt to do it. But essentially, I was reaping the seed that my dad has shown in terms of excellence. It was now for me to live up to it. And the guy says, what do you want to do? I say, I'm looking for a place to start. Do you have your CV? I said, yes. I have my CV in my pocket. On a Saturday morning. Don't think about it. There's something I want you to pick for it. This was a Saturday morning when I was going out. I was looking for something. I was hungry at that time. Hungry in the sense that there was no place to come for me to come back. So I want you all to have that sense of hunger at this time to say, one, no matter your situation, whether you are from wealthy or no wealthy and all that, it doesn't matter. You just have to have that hunger for knowledge and hunger for success and be prepared. So the man was impressed. I had my CV in my pocket and I said, I think you are your father's son. That singular thing is what led me to Adax Petroleum. So I went to see him on Monday, he took me to Adax Petroleum, and he took me for my service, and the rest is history. That's how I started in Adax. I was looking for technical people at 6 on a Saturday morning. So I'm going to say a bit about the Bible, but this is not a sermon, but time and chance. But you have to be ready for that time and chance. That's how I ended up in Adax. I left Adax in 2018 after 20-something years. That time, I wanted to take a break from the industry. But lo and behold, I closed in Adax today. I resumed in Ireland the following day. Because the moment with my bosses that had left to set up their own entity in Ireland heard that I had left Adax, they gave me a call. They have actually been waiting for you. Now that you have left Adax, but they couldn't attract me out of Adax. But in Adax, I was on the pathway to the top. But I got tired and I wanted a break. But the key thing is this, because they like my face. They gave me the call because they say you are known for excellence, you are known for thoroughness, you are known for this. What do you want to be known for? Even now that you are a student. Because you never can tell. Remember I told you Professor Molly introduced me to technical overseas. If I was a badly behaved student, he wouldn't have given me his card to go to technical overseas. He wouldn't have opened the door for me in technical overseas. So whether you're in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, if proud to this time, you've been joking around with what you're doing, please, when you step out today, if you don't take anything away from me, your future depends on what you do today. Your future depends on what you do every day, not on the oil price trend. Whatever you do, make sure you do it with excellence. I just said, let me share those two things with you while I go back to the speech before my. So what I just described now has to do with resilience and perseverance. So you have to develop mental toughness and emotional composure. It's not always going to be easy. So it's very easy today for someone to say, okay, he's a CEO, he's had 20-something years of easy life. No. In my 20-something years, I lost a wife. I lost my dad a year after my wife passed. I would surely love to have my dad sit with me today and say, and I can pamper him a bit. Okay. I almost quit my career to go for the masters, but my dad had said, calm down, you don't have to do this and all that. So there's also that element of your parents have to bless what you want to. Because I wanted to quit. There was the attraction of I want to go abroad and all that. My dad told me, saying, yeah, I know you want to go abroad, but you got to slow down, build your career, settle down and all that. At some point you'll get an MBA. So when you read I have an MBA, that's the story of my dad. Not. So also listen to your parents. I told you that I was brought up by teachers. And I grew up on campus. So I'm not a silver spoon. But by the grace of God today, I can do things. So it's not about where you're coming from. With whatever you have, make the best of it. Whatever your parents can give, make sure you get the blessings of your parents, whatever you do. And you know, petroleum engineering, you tend to have your hair a bit. Because that course itself, when you say, what are you studying? I'm studying petroleum engineering. People just assume that you are made. Even as a student, you say, I'm petroleum engineering, you end up in the oil and gas industry, and everything is all sorted. Okay. Make the best of it. Take it in, but don't let it get into your head. Let it drive you to do what you need to do, be able to get there. Networking and relationship management is key. I mentioned to you that I moved from Adax. The following day, I resumed work with my old bosses in getting the current job that I have. So I moved from Adax to Elan, and then from Elan to Post TMP. My boss in Post TMP became my mentor at least 10 years before I went to work for him. He was my industry mentor. I had a boss, Mr. Chike Onwosu, who is my predecessor in Waltersmith, was my boss in Adax. And I went to meet him one day to say, sir, I need somebody to mentor me. I need somebody outside of Adax. Because you know, there's a way that if you're a first class student, your lecturers already recognize you. You're a first class, and I can start getting into your head, please don't. But I wanted somebody to validate what I'm doing outside of what I'm doing. So he said, okay, I know somebody. you go and see the person. So I went to meet Mr. Ademola Adeyemi Pero around 2008. I wrote to him, so I want you to mentor me. He said, what do you want? Write what you want. So you have to also understand what you want and be able to write it down. But you can write it down, you can put it down on paper, and you can believe you can achieve. So I went to meet him, sat down on his round table. He said, okay, you have to do this and this and this. You have to adapt this and this and this. Go and deliver. I set out. I didn't see him for the next 6 years. But I kept giving him updates. So you have to make sure every single person here, you have to be accountable to one person. You need a mentor, you need a spiritual mentor, which can be, it doesn't have to be your pastor, you can read the Bible, you can consult. If you're a Muslim, everybody needs a spiritual mentor. So you need to be balanced. You also need an academic mentor, but they are still in school. And if you have the chance, you have to get a professional mentor also. Somebody that you're accountable to, that can correct you, and you can be humble about not to take. So fast forward, I left Adax, I joined Elan. And at the point in time when Elan was being sold, I met him at the function. So I went to a wedding on a Saturday. And let me also say this, and to the students. If you are good, people are going to be tracking you. Be careful what you put out there. You know, in nowadays we didn't have social media. Be extremely careful. If you have a professional social media page, watch what you put out there. So I met him at the function at the wedding, and he says, after I heard that your company is being acquired, can you come over and let's talk on Monday? Remember, he's been my mentor for 8 years. He never offered me a job. I never asked him for a job. So mentorship is not necessarily about what you can get or more of what you can get. Right? So he sat down and he says, I'll give you this program, go and evaluate our 5 year, blah, blah, blah. And we sat down. It was as if we've been working together for a long while, and he says, I need you to join my team. That's how I ended up in first year. And this current one that I have, he was the one instrumental to giving me this job. So when he was approached to say, who can do the job? And he says, I know someone can do the job, but I have to release him to do the job. Okay? So networking is very key. Do not underestimate who you meet. Also guard who you spend time with. I graduated in a set where we were extremely competitive. Extremely. I wasn't the best student in my class, but there are few people in my class that broke you. So you have students, we used to have lectures around the mosque in the open. Tutorials on Sundays, and we used to do that. I had a Muslim friend, Usman. Usman was first class in our set. So when she wanted to give me a first class, that's for Usman. Usman was our classmate. Usman was lecturing us. You understand, when your own classmate starts to teach you, very thermodynamics was a bit of a challenge. But we understood it first, and then we'll have Sundays, we all have to go and sit down outside the mosque. They still do it now. With a nice board, we sit down under the tree and we take lessons. And that helped a lot of us. Find knowledge whichever way you can find it. Nowadays, you have a lot of tools, the electronic tools that can give you knowledge. Please don't get dependent on ChatGPT alone, but find knowledge and seek knowledge. Whoever you need to be friends with that will help you grow, please do that as well. So networking and relationship management, and guard your circle of influence. Build strong professional network across, develop cross-cultural communication skills. The oil and gas industry will remain a vital and significant part of the energy mix for the foreseeable future, especially in Africa, where natural gas monetization, renewables, and sustainables will be incorporated. I know when I wanted to leave, when we were about graduating, and I'm sure Emmanuel, you had the same experience. You'll have heard that oil and gas is going to finish. Yes. We were told by 2020 it will be done with the oil and gas industry and all that. I can tell you with all sense of responsibility, oil and gas is not going anywhere. The only thing is we'll do it cleaner. There's going to be the role for technology, so you now need to upskill, so you need to know the theory, but you also need to understand AI and the likes. So to a large extent, you need to upskill. I now want to describe to you what a competent oil and gas individual professional for the future will be. A competent oil and gas professional of the future is a technically proficient, so you must have depth in what you know. Digitally literate. You have to understand how to take advantage of the use of technology. And sustainability-minded energy expert who integrates traditional petroleum knowledge with emerging technologies and low-carbon solutions. He or she must demonstrate strong technical expertise across exploration, production, refining, energy systems, while leveraging data analytics, AI, and automation to optimize business performance and safety. I mentioned to you that we're drilling right now. Okay? So we have a well that we just drilled and we're trying to we just completed and we're producing right now. I can assure you, man, everything I'm using in drilling today, I learned in that in the lecture theater. We had, I believe, Mr. Itar of ExxonMobil, Stephen Itar coming on the weekend to teach us drilling in year 5. Everything. The foundation to what I know in drilling today was laid up there in the lecture theater. I think we were on the ground floor where we had a lab and then we had a class. That's all we had in 2009. So please ensure that you're at least competent for yourself for that today. As you prepare for the future, please ensure you have the following for the next generation of professionals. You have to be adaptable and globally aware. That's why I asked you about what's the oil price today. He or she must be able to excel in multidisciplinary, cross-cultural teams while demonstrating leadership capability. I have had the privilege of working with the Chinese. I've had the privilege of working with Europeans. I've also had the privilege of working with core Nigerian. So you need to learn, be globally minded. Don't just stay in your cocoon. In your spare time, I'm not saying Netflix is bad. We didn't have, and I have to say, let me say this. I don't envy all of you. The amount of digital distraction you have today, we didn't have access to that. You actually have to go and look for distraction in those days. But nowadays, it's just one click away. So the choice is now yours what to do with that one click away. In your spare time, read about trends. Read about the PIA in Nigeria. Understand government policy. What is changing in the landscape. I'm not saying don't spend time to play. But make play an option, not the default set. Because today is the only time you can soak yourself. School feels like a freedom place where you can do what you like, but use what you have in your hands to build yourself for the future will be my humble advice to all of you. So for you, the next generation of professionals, and please, you have to be able to see yourself as a future professional. Do not be carried away by what you see or what you read. To a large extent today, I told you that I've lost a dad and I've lost a wife. And this is one part of me that it's a bit of a touchy one, but I'll tell you the story around it so you take something away from me. Loss of my dad, loss of my wife, I went into depression. Even though on the inside, I was dying of depression because I was very close to my dad. My dad was an Arsenal fan. I'm a Man United fan, even though I was suffering. Okay? But every day, I spoke to my dad every day. Saturday and Sunday, we throw banter. I don't know who's going to talk the weekend league and all that. So I was pretty close to my dad. So when my wife passed and my dad passed, I went into depression. And to come out of it wasn't medication. I had to condition my mind to come out of it. So it wasn't out of medication. I took medication for like 8 months. It didn't do anything. But I had to start reconditioning my mind. And the first thing is God who comes into your inner circle. Watch what you do first thing in the morning. So don't wake up and catch up on Facebook or Instagram. Not doing anything. The first 60 minutes of your day, watch what you do. That's the time to catch up on your, make a plan. What was I taught yesterday? What am I reading today? Who am I going to avoid today? I do have classmates that I've not seen since I left here. And I have the ones that I want phone call away. I can assure you, my principal in secondary school said the day we all graduated, this is the last day you're all going to be the same. So don't get carried away by somebody is my friend, is distracting you. Move away from that person. If you find someone that is not going anywhere in their mind, you know, you're all in school now, so it looks as if we're in school. But whoever you bring into your circle of influence has to be someone that's going somewhere in their mind already. Okay? So be very selective who you bring into your circle of influence. So I have to change what I do, my daily habits. I also have to stop watching the news because it's full of negativity. So prepare yourself. So when I say you have to be mentally tough, because the future will push you. I can assure you, both of us coming today, I almost asked my driver to turn around on the express because we have a bag of challenges I woke up to today on the business. But we have to do what we have to do. You have to have tenacity and you must be focused for that. So I'll give you a few things that you need to have. For the next generation of professionals, this means you must have strong grasp of core discipline. You have to be technologically driven. You must have regulatory compliance, so you need to understand the PIA. It's on the internet, read about it. NCDMB Act. You must have systems thinking. And there's a personal question I ask my staff and my colleagues every day. How many people know the WIFM station? Which one is the major radio station in Ibadan now? Is there any WIFM station in Ibadan? Do you know what WIFM station is? You don't have that on your own radio? No, I disagree with you. All of us have WIFM station. In fact, you have tuned it into it today. You just don't know. We all listen to WIFM every day. WIFM is what is in need for me. That's the station. So every day when we all wake up, any choice you want to make, we all get to say what is in need for me. Okay, so I sort of deal with that question with my colleagues on the job every day. This question is vital for both staff and management. And I make bold to say, as students, this question is very important for you. What is the need for you in studying petroleum engineering? Why are you studying petroleum engineering? What do you want to become? What kind of attributes do you need to develop today to prepare you for the future ahead? For my staff, it represents career growth, learning opportunities, and fair compensation. For management, it signifies loyalty, performance, and innovation. The ideal situation occurs when both perspectives align. So as students, what is in need for you? It's about soaking yourself in the knowledge that is being shared by the faculty, rare faculty that you have. I was taught by Professor Nsela. It's very tough. But today, I stand tall to say I'm grateful to the way he was taught on us. So I'm a product of his toughness. So if he's tough on you today, I will take it. Allow him, even if he's too gentle and you don't allow it. Because let me look at the ladies in the room. You all have gold or semi-gold or silver. Have you seen where gold is being made? How it gets beaten properly? There's nothing good that comes easy. You have to go through the beating of it. So please allow toughness, allow everything around you and all that. So for you, it's about soaking the knowledge you have, taking advantage of this time that you have people to at least guide you. For the lecturers and the faculty, it's about them seeing that you appreciate what they're doing. The labor of love to teach under the circumstances that they teach. Their joy is, I'm sure if I stand today, Professor Nsela will say, this is my student. That gives him pride more than anything else. I was going to make his inaugural lecture yesterday, but I couldn't. Not because we didn't want to make it. But I know what inaugural lecture is, because I was at my dad's inaugural lecture. It's actually a rite of passage. That's a strong thing when you're a professor and then you do inaugural lecture. That's like, yes, you're now established in your own area. But you can say his students is in this, that was in this. And there are many of us. Most of my classmates are in different places around the world. Way better than myself. So that's what is in need for the lecturer. So for you, think about yourself, close your eyes and think about 5 years from today, 10 years from today, You want your lecturers to look back and say, okay, the time I invested in A, B, C, D turned out well. You want to be that good story of reference. And God has given us the ability. All of us in this room, God has given the ability, but the power of choice as to what you do during your seed time is yours to take. And this is your own seed time. So please plant the right seed and water it every day with the right habit. As you prepare to enter the industry, how many people are in final year here? My first daughter said from school. My daughter didn't do engineering. Can I assure you, the children of nowadays don't want to do it. But it's okay. But the thing is, I remember in our final year, the question she kept asking me, so that was next. So when you're in final year, that question always rings in your mind. Where do you go prepare? What's next? My advice to you is let that what next drive you to prepare and think wide. So instead of worrying every day about, you say there are no jobs, there's nothing, use that period to continue to deepen yourself in different aspects of the oil and gas industry. Read trends, understand what's going on. Because right now, I can assure you, the demand for competence, and I say competence, is going to double. Because the industry is now going to a phase where we're all going through growth. Nigerian oil and gas companies are now taking over the shallow and the onshore space. And we're all going through a phase whereby we're looking for competent graduate trainees and the engineers of the team. So this is the time you can position yourself to be able to take advantage of that. As you prepare to enter the industry, always ask yourself, what am I bringing to the table? What am I gaining from this experience? What do I want to be known for? Finding this balance will keep you motivated and focused on your purpose. To the young men and women in the making gathered here today, your journey may not always be easy, but I can assure you, with God on your side, it will be undoubtedly be worthwhile if you stay the course. It will be rough. There will be days when you want to quit. I can assure you and see you that days when I want to quit. But the thing is this, with unwavering self-discipline, focus, faith, and resilience, you can not only build successful careers, but also play a vital role in shaping the future of energy business in Nigeria and beyond. As an alumnus of this great university, and of course an alumnus of the Department of Petroleum Engineering, I stand before you as a living proof that your beginnings do not define your limits. The world of oil and gas awaits your ideas, your courage, and your talent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that insightful keynote speech. So I'm turning to the audience now. Do you have questions for Mr. Oladapo Fulani? Do you have questions based on what he said in his keynote speech? All right. All right.
Thank you very much, sir, for that very insightful speech. I don't know why we should consider bringing you here for adjunct lecturer. Do you support that? That was a good one. You taught us. You lectured us on that, and I was taking my notes home because it's very good what you said, applicable to everyone, and I hope we all took away our notes. I don't know how to say thank you, and I'm so glad I sat through this lecture because we are lecturers are supposed to be having a meeting there, but I told myself I was going to sit down here and listen through, and I'm glad I did. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very insightful. I know it's really packed and full. So I just wanted to dig a little bit when you were talking about developing mental toughness. And I say this because I mean a lot of ladies are known to be emotionally weaker. And I was just thinking if you have like practical approaches on how we could develop ourselves to be stronger in this aspect. And I have another question about mentorship. So during the course of your speech, you mentioned that you had to approach Sachike to be your mentor, and that's the space I've been trying to navigate a bit. I mean, it's very easy to have professionals around you that you understudy, you will learn from a distance. But I think it takes a bold step to say, would you be my mentor? And I just wanted to know how to navigate that. And sorry, lastly also, you also talked about how like you so mentorship is not just about receiving, it's about giving. But a lot of times, how do you actually I know that you observe and they're things you do, but for instance, you're not exactly in this person's space. Maybe there's distance between you. So how do you give it that kind of relationship?
Thank you. Thanks for those. First of all, man, let me. I was brought up by lecturers. My dad was a lecturer. And to a large extent, for those that have had the period of working with me, I always carry a notepad. And I have a board in my office. So I think that teaching blood is there. But I better not commit myself. But I do have, because the thing is, I mentioned to you that what I learned in training is something I learned here. And somebody coming from industry to teach. I do have that desire, and I pray to God someday I'll be able to fulfill it. It may not be today, but I have that desire. Because it was a different kind of experience having somebody that comes from the rig, because Mr. Vital usually come from the rig and teach you what he's learning on the rig. So it's not just opening the books, and it makes a world of difference. So I will surely pick it up one day, it may just not be today. By the grace of God. You see, mental toughness is a journey. It's a journey. You know, you have to prepare yourself. I draw a lot of strength. I'm not a pastor, and I don't claim to be one. But during my days, dark days, when I was in depression, I had to run to Proverbs, and I fed on it. Everything we need is in that thing. Like seed time, harvest time, whatever we need to do, how you need to live on a day-to-day basis, like, just read it yourself. So mental toughness starts with what you feed your mind. If they say in computer, it's garbage in, garbage out. So we have simulation models, right? You guys do simulation with which package you use, Eclipse and the like. And the thing with simulation is anything you put into it will give you a result. The quality of your results is a function of the quality of your input. So the quality of your mind is a function of what you feed into it on a day-to-day basis. And it's a case of what you read, what you watch, what you listen to. So mental toughness is about conditioning what you read. So I tell you that I don't listen to the news. It doesn't mean I don't know what's going on. I hear people talk about it. But in my own case, it was a life and death matter. I was already depressed. Why am I listening to something that will depress me any further? So mental toughness, to develop it's a day-to-day thing. So what you use yesterday. All of you have ATM cards, right? Does it have an expiry date? When it expires, can you use it? So I make bold say that your mind can expire if you don't take care of it. You know that the Bible says we have to renew our mind. What you need to renew means it can expire. So mental toughness, what brought me up to here, cannot take me to the future that is ahead. So I have to continue on a day-to-day basis. And it has to do with the habits that you pick up. I'll give you one. Watch what you do in the first 60 minutes of the day. So when you wake up in the morning, avoid your phone.
very tempting. You go there, your friends are going to package themselves on Instagram, Facebook. Does it give you better or worse off? You start to feel, am I doing well? It doesn't do anything for you. If you have to pick up the phone, pick it up and read something that will nourish your mind. So it's a day-to-day thing, man. About what you just know that guard your eyes, guard your ears. If you do that, then guard who comes into your circle of influence. Because anything, we have a subconscious mind. Anything that comes into your sphere of influence will influence you. Let me give an example. If you walk up into a store and you want to buy soda, you want to buy soft drinks, what do you ask for? What's your first choice? Pepsi. How many people ask for Schweppes? How many people ask for Coke? If you want to drink something, you've chosen that you want to drink. Okay. But what you see is this, because Coke is associated with success and a lot of background, and he puts it in our faces. You usually say, I want to drink Coke. When they say you don't have Coke, you have Fanta. You have Fanta, they want Pepsi. You won't think about Crush or Mirinda. So it's conditioning. We're all conditioned by what we watch and what we listen to. So mental toughness is about conditioning what you watch. We didn't have social media in our own area, but I'm subjected to it right now. So what you read and what you watch is my advice for that. The second one was on mentorship, right? How do you develop relations in mentorship? My first mentor, I think, were my lecturers when I was on campus. But Professor Molly was like there's a different challenge when your dad is a lecturer on campus. It's a different level of challenge. Because the way you are measured is different from everybody else. So I had a dad at home, I had a dad in the department, and I had dads on the street watching me. Which on his own put me under a lot of pressure. But I'm glad I had all of them. So it's a case of you first have to decide what do I need as a person. And then go and look for it. You will get a lot of no. But every time you get a no, just make it a vitamin. Say, okay, no, yes, next, move on. No, a no should not change your purpose and what you want. It just be a case of, okay, what do I learn from this? How do I improve on it and go again? So you need to ask. Please ask and it shall be given. You ask, if people tell you no, not because they don't want to, but we're extremely busy. But the key thing is you have to be tenacious and keep asking. You may get 9 no's and you get 1 yes. When I approached Mr. Chike in 2008 to introduce Mr. Peru, I worked for Mr. Chike. I've been an excellent subordinate. If I was a troublesome subordinate, he would not put his name against my referral. And the world today, you need somebody to refer you. Because as someone that is out there trying to recruit, if I want to recruit in the department, I'm going to come to the HR and give me your top 3 students. Make sure you are among the top 3. I'm just saying, the days of us going out there on advertise is all over. About referral. What do you want to be known for when they mention your name? Diligence, thoroughness, hardworking, focused, driven. Make sure all of that come around you. And nobody needs to give you. You don't need, God has given you the ability. You just have to develop the habit. So that when it's time to refer you, somebody can say, I can put my signature against this. This one will not disappoint you. So that's the thing with mentorship. I worked for Chike as a subordinate. When it was time for him to leave Waltersmith, what did you think he did? He came to talk to me. I think you are the one that can do my job. If I was a very useless subordinate, we had moved apart for more than 8 years before he came back to refer me. I went on a sojourn. So it's about, even if you meet someone for 30 minutes, leave the best impression of yourself. You go comforted. As a student, how do you appear? Well, there's fashion nowadays. Everybody wants to just stay away from common things. Don't last. When we're driving in, we're looking at the campus. This place used to be the top place we wanted to go to. It looks different. So anything that is trending, it doesn't last. Don't get distracted by trends. Do more things about yourself. So mentorship is about you go out for it, but prepare yourself also to be able to, for someone to refer you. That's what I'm going to say. Also, you don't need to have physical mentors. Go online. You can ask anybody to be your mentor online. You can read books, you can read journals, you can go on to website where people read and write. You can do all that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be people you connect to directly. You can connect online nowadays. Technology has done a lot of things. Have I addressed your question? I think I've addressed two. There's a third one, please. Okay. So the thing is, when Mr. Chike was to join from Shell, he joined us after more than 30 years of solid work in Shell. But I was the first person he met on the job in order to say, okay, tell us about others. And I was meant to meet him on a Monday to give him like his onboarding brief on the business. Because I was technical planning manager. Of course, I went all out. Prepare the package, prepare a presentation. I was all out to say, I want to make sure it settles down quickly. And from that moment, I could have done it wishy-washy. I had an opportunity to help me on board, and I went all out for it. I forgot what he referred me to. You know that's the day he told himself that this one will make a difference. When I had trouble during his time, he was the one that stood for me. Okay? So there are different ways of giving. It's just that don't see somebody and say, what can I get? Also, let me teach you another trick that works. I like the fact that you read my citation. The most important part of that is I'm going this is my route. Okay? If you are going to meet with somebody in the industry, research the person. Spend your time and research the person. What makes him think? Nowadays, you can find everything. If you go to some people's Facebook, you know whether family is important. You know whether it's supposed to Man U or Arsenal. If you're coming to meet me, you're talking primarily, to talk about Chelsea and Man City. What's going on here? So you have to find something that you use to connect to the person. And that's about doing your own work properly. Learn about the person, take interest in the person. If you connect with somebody that is in the industry, for instance, you can say, sir, I know you're in the industry, I'm in school, I help you do research work. You need papers, you want me to help you research. What are you working on right now that is important to you? As against, I need you to mentor me, sir. What is it that you're working on that I can do pro bono research for you? There are different things you can do. That way you connect. People do business with who they like, who they connect with, and who they can trust. You can't earn trust the first day, but you aim to connect first. Once you connect, no matter what, the person will make out time to do it. Does that help? Thank you.
Morning, sir. My name is Stanley. I wanted to ask a question. You said you wanted to be Adam, and then you think that you got a job at Elan Oil and Gas. My question is, at others, you were performing a certain role, and then a day later, you got a job at Elan Oil and Gas. How were you able to transition from that role you were performing at others to an entirely different role at Elan in just a day?
Now, I think the thing is, I've spent 20-something years in others, 20-something intense years. And I'll give one example of it. I have a 19-year-old son who is turning 19 on the 25th of October. On the day my late wife going to labor to have him, I was at work. I was meant to travel that day. Because I knew how to take minutes very well. I know how to take records of meetings. From taking records of meetings, I became the coordinator for the corporate business review. So I was part and parcel of every meeting. Either they do it in Jos, or they do it in Abuja, or they do it in London. Because I knows how to take minutes. You coordinate us very well. You know, as a petrol engineer, that's the job of minutes taking is not the job of a petrol engineer. Some want to say, no. Anything you are given to do it well. So the MD took note of me and said, this boy takes good minutes, knows how to coordinate up and down. From there, I became part and parcel. I did that role for 7 years, going around the world for corporate business review. And now I'm the CEO. Now, I'm using that experience that I gained by taking minutes, doing secretary work at a senior reservoir engineer. So don't underestimate whatever you are given to do. But I'm coming to answer your question. So on this particular day, because I was the center of the meeting, and we had the head office in Geneva and other branches in London, I was the coordinator. We had done a plan. The meeting was going to start, maybe let's say it's a Friday, the meeting will start on a Sunday, we get together and all that. So I get home from work in Lagos, in Bagada. I'm about to pick my bag to head out to the airport. And God bless my dear first wife. I was accepted that. I was never available. It was work. So I paid the price. So don't think I just got here in London. I paid the price. I did not spend time with my kids. I'm trying to make up for it now. They don't remember so though. Because children don't remember. They only remember what daddy can do today. So I think it was good I paid the price then. And I had a good wife also at that time, which was a good thing. But the key thing is I get home, I'm about to pick my bag, and she's heavily pregnant, and she goes into labor in the house. Like, hey. The whole meeting was dependent on me. So I looked at her face. And of course, she knew the kind of person is that when it comes to the work, I will go. So I asked her, I have this, so I said, I know you have to go. So you are not God. God will see me through this, and you will have to fight. My mother-in-law was there. My mother-in-law then looked at my wife, looked at me, looked at my wife, and said, this is not normal. But I can tell you, I met her at the Faculty of Social Sciences, Psych 101. I did Psych 101 as an elective, but then we had the choice of taking elective. So I chose to go to Social Sciences. I did SOAP, I think the SOAP 3 something. Those side courses and the SOAP courses, I still use the knowledge today. But you have to understand how to deal with people. So I went to psychology, I got a 7-pointer, and I also got the wife. The thing about it, the thing is, I have to start going to go and learn. You know when I say make continuous learning? So I chose that I want to learn outside of tech. We had the opportunity to do elective, so I picked psych and SOAP that time. So I went to Psych 101. She became my library buddy. Okay, so when we're in school, we're library buddy. So it's not that we were in school, we're always going, I don't know, we leave class, go to school, library, and all that. So we built something together. But the thing is, so on that day, because I built a record, I said, you can go. So I went. So I missed my son's back. I was in the meeting fine ahead when we had Blackberries in those days. My younger brother sent me a message on Blackberry to say, yeah. Okay. And then the CEO of business stopped, say, what's that? I say, I have a son. Hey, you left your son? You left the part of your son? Oh, no, this is not possible. So he gave me a gift to give the boy. So I had to pay a price. But that time, by the time I was about it, I was tired of living at that. But the key thing is this. To answer your question, the experience I gathered every day, either working in the field, volunteering to go to the field to do drilling campaign. When I joined ADAX, I was the youngest person in my team, and I wasn't married. And you know the price I have to pay for being the youngest and not married. Whether it's geology work, whether it's physics work, whether it's normal work, whether it's going to buy amala during lunch for my seniors in the industry that time, I was in their choice. Or go to the bank and go and cash. That days we didn't have ATM. So they write a check for me lunchtime, go and cash it. I did all that. 3/4 of people I did all that for were reporting to me 10 years ago. So it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to tell you this in terms of that. So I had the opportunity of gaining experience. What people were doing to me because I was young turned out to be things that gave me breadth and depth, that prepared me to be able to switch. So the people that gave me the job after I left ADAC had seen me through different phases. And they were sure that even if I did not know what they were taking me for, I was adaptable and trainable. So you don't necessarily have to have all the knowledge, but you must be adaptable and trainable and be willing to learn fast. Because all of you here, you have the mental aptitude to succeed. Without your mental aptitude is a function of what you feed it with. If you keep feeding it junk, garbage in, garbage out. That would be the way I'll answer your question. So switching for me, I was tired, I wanted a break, but I switched. And then the next time I order a break, I switch again. So the question is, am I going to switch again? Right now, I'm on a journey of growth. And I can tell you what I'm using today is what I learned in the school here and what I learned in my first 10 years on the job. So I'm CEO of a business, is Chief Petroleum Engineer. I can assure you on a day-to-day basis, I start my day as CEO. At some point, I have to be reservoir engineer, I have to petroleum engineer, production engineer, and all that. So it's about the experience you gather along the way. So don't underestimate when they say come and take minutes of meeting. Or when your lecturer says you need to do something, this is not technical, no. There's always something to learn in everything. Make excellence your default setting.
My name is Ajuba Tobe. Thank you for your
name is who?
Ajuba Tobe.
Your name is Ajuba Tobe. Tobena. What does Tobena mean?
Praise.
Praise the Father. Father in heaven. Thank you.
I like that your whole speech of your experience was more example, more related. But my question is more one more time. You said you did attacks the inland before you came to Waltersmith.
Yes, sir.
Most of that transition was by somewhat a referral, or you had a relationship with someone who got you into that position. And also the fact that you went to the same money like that, you were speaking your so, and also the fact that you were living up, you had your father's legacy to live up to in terms of character. So my question is, you said we should have a good relationship with those people. What key attributes did you, whether it's academically or not academically, made you this person that made you different from every other person that you encountered? If you can give us more examples, that would be very good. Thank you, sir.
So you have a very valid question. Like I mentioned in my keynote, above all things, I believe I'm a child of grace. I think God has been there for me all the way. So as much as possible, I am a product of grace. And I'm not ashamed to say that anyway. Yes, I say I've been also privileged to be referred. But you can only refer something that is proven and tested. Because when people put their names behind you, their names is also at stake. So I think as an individual, it's about whatever you have on your hand. Do justice to it. Go over and above and beyond to do justice to what you have in your hand. So my work ethics, I will say some people tell you I'm a workaholic. I work too much. But I don't see anything that is being lazy is not good. But some people tell you I'm a workaholic. So my work ethics is one thing. Like I mentioned, what do you want to be known for? If someone gives you something small to do, someone says, okay, describe to me how to get to Lagos. You can say just go to Iwo Road, take a car, go to Lagos. That's the way to get to Lagos. It's okay, when you want to go to Lagos, you have the option of Iwo Road, you have the option of Ife Road, you have the option of this. When you get to, also, you want to take a bus, you want to take a car, you want to take a this. These are the pros and cons of if you take a car, if you take this and that. Yeah, it's two people answering the same question, but the quality of answer will differentiate you. So you have to aim to differentiate yourself with the quality of output you bring out and the energy you put into what you're giving to. I think by the grace of God, I've had the privilege of making sure that anything I do very well. So you also have a role to play. Yes, I say I've been influenced by people in terms of networking, but you have to make sure you're hardworking, you're diligent, you put a lot of excellence into everything. Learn soft skills, read about how you dress, how you talk, how you address people, how you do a handshake. The way you do a handshake a lot can either do something to take the person away. Okay? So a farm handshake, your body language, how you stand. Because you hear that the gentleman said to sit. When you sit and you stand, it's two different things. But when you sit, you can clap. But when you stand firm. Meaning bring it on. Right? So learn about soft skills, learn about body language. Make sure you tell yourself, I'm going to work very hard in whatever I get. Okay? And also, let me say this. If a final year starts to apply, you have a CV. Prepare your CV, put it out there. Start, don't shoot your net, cast your net wide. You never know which one and how that will fall. So for me, yes, I say a lot that, okay, I give credit to people that refer me, but you also have a role to play. In the sense that you have to advocate. Your self-discipline has to be on steroids. I'm still building my self-discipline. Okay. Because everything I brought me to this point cannot take me to the future. And every day as CEO, I get depleted. And what I mean by depleted is all the energy I woke up with in the morning, something's going to suck it away for the day. So I have to replenish that energy every day, which means I run, I walk, I do 10,000 steps, I drink a lot of water, I watch what I read. I don't stay up late night watching Netflix. I have a choice. So it's self-discipline, hard work, diligence, thoroughness in whatever you do, and then understanding your space. So in petroleum engineering, understand what it means and can be able to connect it. So that as and when you're privileged to be referred, or you even go out on your own. So you don't have to wait for referrals, please. You can go out on your own. Right? If you're going on LinkedIn, look for companies, right? Cold calls, make cold calls. Some will reply, some will reply. Just reach out and cast your net wide within the space that you're in, and something will click. It may not click day one, it may click day 5. But the key thing is you're doing the work and you're giving God something to work with. That will be my point. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. My name is Ibigwe
Level. Okay.
So at the
Are
end
you
of
going for it?
keynote speech, he said, "Do not quit, and you're beginning to define your limits." And I just want to ask. My question is based on facing reality and giving up, right? I just want to know if you are treading this particular path and your current reality, like you weigh your options, you look at pros and cons, you sort of different means to go about this. And realistically speaking, it may not be possible. Like, if that quitting, I just want to know what differentiates facing reality from quitting.
I guess I can use the example of like 101 help. But I get, no, the thing is, what do you define as reality? What Emmanuel defines as reality is different from what I define as reality. You know, it's not what we go through in life that counts. It's the meaning we attach to it over time. I thought I was brought up on campus here. I can tell you, you see the zoo next to you. I probably went to the zoo once during my lifetime, but then you have to pay to enter. Who am I going to ask my dad that I want to pay to enter the zoo? That's frivolity, because there's no excess. So the key thing is this: is what you do with it. What you find is these people that grew up in my generation on campus. A lot of us are MDs right now, but when we meet, that's the reality of them. We tell ourselves, say, we have to thank God. You are my neighbor in Plateau, so and so, and all that. What drove all of us at that time is when we come back from holiday, we do holiday lesson, holiday classes, and when we're talking about, we have to, these 3 generations must not go through this, you have to work very hard. So we inspire each other, and then we go and do the work. So your reality is what you define it. See, you don't need 10 reasons to why you think you cannot change. You just need 1. But the moment mentally you give up, you're done. So what I'll say is this: There's no doubt. I told you when we are coming today, we almost come back, because there is current reality on the world we're working on. But we chose to say, we're committed to this, we do this. We'll go back, when we leave here now, between now and the evening, we're going back to sit down on the call, we're running, we're going to solve it. But on the way on the express, on the call, we're trying to deal with it. The project we're working on today, when I went to defend it to my board, they brought in 50 years experience, like 20 years experience for a challenge session. The way they painted it, they say you shouldn't touch it. There's nothing there. There's no oil. And when experienced people define your reality for you, they know it, they've been there, they've done that. The only reason why they did was I put their jobs on the line. Today, 3,000 barrels of oil per day. Producing it from that. Okay? So the thing is this. It's about yourself preparing yourself for the day of battle. It will come. There will be a day when you say, my current reality is. I'll give you another example. So when I was in my final year, Professor Molly recommended me to University of Oklahoma for masters. I got the admission. Okay? I got the admission. He did the recommendation, I got the admission. But my reality then was I couldn't afford it. But it didn't change the fact that I wanted a foreign degree. I just said, today I can't afford it. It means I need to work hard and use whatever I can do today to keep moving. But when it was time, I was able to go. So the thing is this, let whatever you call your current reality spur you to say, okay, today I may not be able to buy that nice watch. Today I may not be able to afford going on that holiday. You know, I had a lot of friends, also we looked at here, I had a lot of friends that every holiday they're in London, they come back, they're looking big boys, they drive, do you still have them nowadays? They drive, they have the best life, they go to parties, they're in clubs. Nowadays, if you say everybody's a regular. So the things you cannot afford today, don't let it define your future. It's a temporary thing, just a spot in time that you're saying, okay, all these things are challenges. With the little you have, make the best of it. So the most important reality is do not give up on in your mind. And you know, the thousands of things to hope for. The evidence of things, what? Is it sin or unseen? Hey. Your current reality is what you see. That's not what should drive your faith. It's evidence of things unseen. So if you can see it in your mind, take it from me. If you can see it in your mind and hold it in your hand. The time between seeing and holding it, there is time. You have to water it every day. You have to study. You have to keep your dream alive. There will be days when you say, this thing is looking horrible. I don't understand this course. I don't understand whether I can afford the next meal. It's there. About 010 before. I've been there. I spoke to my mom when I was entering Ibadan. I think I told her I want to go home first. My mom sold her trinkets for me to do my degree course, but to write my final year exam. That's why when I was coming, I called her. I didn't go and see my mom first. But I thought, okay, will come very late. And punctuality is a must achieve. If I come late, you're not going to query me. You'll say, it's late, traffic. But that's something, time in the oil industry is money. So when we're saying we go home, we can't be late. Because we've made up, that's a discipline you must have. But if I come late, none of you will query me. So my current reality then was that my mom had to sell her trinkets. But today, my mom wants anything. The challenge now is she doesn't even ask for the things. Because as far as it's concerned, she just wants to pray for you. So I'm saying this. If there's something today that you cannot afford, as far as you're standing on your feet, and you don't give up here, and you remember, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. It's not what you see. Your current reality is what you see. Your current reality is oil and gas industry is not employing. The oil is going to disappear. That's what they're saying. I'm not familiar with Mr. Trump. Before Mr. Trump, it was energy transition, no more drilling. The same people that said no more drilling, are the ones going after drilling right now. Okay? So, a current reality is a point in time. Even if you have an assessment, And allow me to say this. If you get a course wrong, so you don't want to get a carryover as a top thing. I had a carryover in geology. I think one of the geology courses I did 100 level. That was the only one I carried over. It still haunts me to capacity. It still haunts me till today. How did I get that carryover? But now, if I talk geology now, what it made me to do is anytime geologists were talking when I was in the industry, I listened carefully and I made friends with G&G. There are times I went to ask you, hey, geologist or a petroleum engineer? But I failed a geology course. But if I don't tell you, you won't know. The private thing, I was a 7-pointer all the way. The reason why I asked whether you go for IT, my records are there. When I went for my 4th-year IT in Shell, that was something that changed my life. Because I saw the experience. And I came back and told myself, yeah, 5 no party, no going anywhere, is on steroids. So my best year in UI was my year 5. But I wished I started in year 1. Okay? So it's never too late. So your current reality is what you define it. Whether it's, I've told you, if I think that my mom told her drinking. Not because she wanted, but she had to. My parents were very loving. My dad had a very loving and caring, but he had plenty of us, including me. There are 4 of us for me, but he had plenty of us. Okay? So it's either you don't have enough money, or you can't afford to live luxury, you can't afford to buy the wig, or buy the nice top and all that. Let me even say, you can see both of us are in Nigerian content. All those fancy, follow this, follow that, doesn't make any difference. It's what you have here. So the things that you cannot afford to pay, don't let it drive you. If you can take my money, as far as I have my health, and I have my mind, and I have my knowledge, by the grace of God, something will come your way. So, I can relate to your current reality. Because holidays, I have to go and do, I had a talk around the back. I have a lot of stories. Because on weekends, my mom was a caterer. So we used to fry chips, plantain chips. So I have a retinue of petrol stations I supply. So I go on Saturday in the morning, I go from Kuti. I'm not buying Kuti all day. All of gentlemen. I was in B12 in Kuti Hall when I was there in my final year. But I'll leave class from tech. I'll go to Elliott Close. Pick the supply for the day, go and do the rounds, go back to the car, and come for my lecture in the evening. Because I was trying to help my mom. That was my reality then. But it didn't change anything. My brother, who studied mechanical engineering, from supporting our mom, we cannot stop him in business today. He has his day job, but he's into a Greek, he's into this. Where did he get that business approval? From selling plantain chips in Elliott Close. He will tell you, bro, how to do business. But our current reality then was we had to do other stuff to keep things going. There's a picture I have. If I show you that picture, we had the blazer. I'm blessed to have 2 siblings, 2 brothers and 1 sister. If you look at that picture in UI, we dare not go for the same function together. But that same blazer is whoever wears it on the day of the function. So we have multiple pictures where you see my brother wearing the blazer or me wearing it. So anything you do right now, just let it drive you. Let it drive that hunger in you to say, this one, knowledge, excellence is within my control. Who you spend time with is within your control. You may not be able to join all the clubs on campus, forget it. All these things don't mean anything. They don't last. Friends and these things don't last. But your knowledge and things will change. So make sure you are the one that changes that reality. So I can relate. I've been giving you examples that if I didn't open up my mouth to say, private thing, man, everything has been rosy and all nice. No. Even in a career journey, you hit points where you think, do I quit? Do I not quit? Do I like this? Do I like this? But it's that tenacity and the purpose that you build that will keep you going. Does that help in any way? Thank you.
Good morning, sir. My name is Nigerian. Thank you very much. Okay, so my question Yes, sir. My question is that in because of the things I do, because of things I volunteer in, I kind of have passion in close like the medical field, and I know there's a space for that in the oil and gas industry, kind of HSE, safety and all. But then a lot of people have this like expectation that oh yes, we are good in this aspect, we can go for it. But personally, I feel that I want to explore outside that field, other field. So, what advice would you give me? Seeming that okay, I have knowledge of this and I like it, but then I also feel that I don't want to keep myself with this.
Thank you. That's a good question. So I have friends that study mechanical engineering with us when we're in school that are pilots. And I also have friends that study medicine that are also pilots. So the thing is, I think your first degree, when you get, and I remember this when I got my first degree, and I went to my dad. Okay, now I'm a graduate. Now I have 2-1, blah blah blah, and it says and so on. Your first degree just shows that you can use your brain, you can think logically, you can answer questions, you can do critical thinking, and all that. That's what it is. It just opens you up. People look at you that yes, you have been proven that you can think, you can answer this, and you can prepare. So what you become after your first degree is still a choice. Your petroleum engineering degree, one thing I can tell you, if you do petroleum engineering, you will think different from your colleagues. Petroleum engineering is very abstract. We think about what is 5,000 feet down the line, we make inference, we make judgments, and we're expected to be right. There's no excuse for failure for us. But I can't go to 10,000 feet and make inference based on data and all that. So it helps your abstract thinking. And that abstract thinking can make you the best banker if you want to be, can make you a best specialist in anything you want to. So if you want to go into process safety, there's nothing wrong. I have petroleum engineers in our company that are process safety engineers. So I'll say, first thing, do what you're doing now very well. Then let it set you up for making, if you can pivot at any point in time.
Alright, so that will be all for the questions. Thank you very much, sir, for answering.
Yeah, I can take one more.
I'll take one more.
Good morning, sir.
Go ahead, I'm just taking up my production. Go ahead.
My question, when you talked about being accountable mentors in the industry, particularly, my question is really important. Being accountable, we're trying to get answers to a lot of things that I'm trying to always be on their how to navigate inclusion to their answers.
Thank you. That's a very good question. I can assure you from your execs, in getting through this program, there were days when I told her you can't let me, right? It's normal. For people that are in industry, if you have an industry person as your mentor, the person will be busy. And it's just how you take it. When I tell you, stay away, I'm busy, it doesn't mean I'm saying abandon. I'm just saying, give me space. Or this is how you can make it work. So it depends on how you look at it. My number one, who do you think is my number one competitor? So the first person you have to be accountable to is yourself. I can assure you, all of us, we know when we do bad and when we do good. So you have to make sure that every day when you wake up, you make sure today is better than yesterday. Right? So the first person you have to be accountable for, you can't run away from yourself. I mean, so the management can tell me I don't have my time, but I must always have my own time. Now what I now do with my own time that counts. So the first person you have to be accountable to is yourself. In terms of mentors, fine. You can find somebody online. You can read blogs. You can read articles. They don't speak to you, but they connect with you in terms of knowledge. Articles online will not tell you I don't have time. With what we carry right now, you can go to websites, subscribe to websites. Not all of them charge you money. Subscribe to website that allows to build your knowledge. Those ones don't never get tired. As far as you have data on your phone and use the data for the right things. But if you have data and spend it all on Instagram, it doesn't give you any knowledge. So it's about what you do with what you have. You will find some that will give you time, you find some that will give you time, but look for, at least start with what is available out there. Use technology and use other options. So give my advice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for basically answering all the questions. Right now, we're having a panel session, which will be moderated by Engineer Akorede Julido. Right, I would like him to come on the stage while I read his citation. Akorede Julido holds a Bachelor of Engineering in Petroleum Engineering from Covenant University, Ulster. After earning a fully funded master's degree in mechanical engineering as reliability engineering and asset management from the University of Manchester, he obtained a Master of Philosophy in Petroleum Engineering from the University of Ibadan. He is currently a lecturer and doctoral student in the Department of Petroleum Engineering. He has acquired extensive experience through work consultancy and internships with leading organizations, both locally and internationally. His professional engagements include Shell Nigeria Exploration and Production Company, British Petroleum / University of Manchester Research Project, PepsiCo International, Worldsteer Oil Field Technology Services, and Top Engineering Consult. He has also contributed to consultancy for indigenous companies and key subsidiaries of NNPC, such as ANOH Gas Processing, Netco, NPDC, NUIMS, and KHRC. Beyond his technical expertise, he is a passionate social entrepreneur committed to addressing challenges through enterprise-driven solutions. Please welcome Engineer Akorede Julido.
Good morning. Good morning. Distinguished guests, the CEO, thank you very much. Sorry, my voice is cracking up. Thank you very much for that insightful, inspirational message this morning. It's a big honor to have you in our midst, and not just having you delivering technical stuff, but inspiring our students. And even myself, I have picked a whole lot from your speech, and not just that alone, but the message you have passed across to our dear students. Quickly, I won't be asking questions over again. Are we having? Okay. So I won't have to repeat a number of questions that the students have asked. So let's quickly invite them on stage. Thank you very much. Okay. So you can have a seat. Okay. So we've done a lot of inspirational stuff, it, and what you ought not to do. Okay, how to ensure that the best of the time you have to spend here. So quickly, we are going to be delving a little into some technical stuff. Okay, particularly about petroleum engineering and, of course, new energy. Okay, the energy space at large. So quickly, I'll start with the CEO, our distinguished guest. So I'll quickly start with asking, Waltersmith started with oil production, and now they do refining business. And of course, we all agree that the energy space in Nigeria is changing so fast. Okay, we are beginning to get a hold on the downstream sector of the oil and gas industry, and that we are beginning to add value to the product to be able to maximize the resources we have as a nation. Okay, so what inspired this move? Okay, beyond your going into the refinery, into the refining business, what inspired your move of going into power plant? Sorry. Okay, what inspired your move of going into power generation and all of that?
Thank you for that. I think there is, since we arrived today without power available, without power cut, and I can hear that's a diesel generator outside. So we're burning diesel, right? And by default, when you're burning diesel, it means diesel is not necessarily a clean source of fuel. For us, I'll say how Waltersmith went into refining. It was more a business need, and a business survival need, and also the desire to contribute to meeting the energy demand in Nigeria and potentially West Africa. So for us, initially we are onshore based, so we're operated fields are in Imo State. So we're onshore, and with onshore you have below ground risk and you have above ground risk. And above ground, one of the above ground risks when you're onshore is you have community issues, you have crude theft. I'm sure you've all had a crude theft where you lose your crude and all that. There's a point in time when within the pipeline network where we produce, we're losing more than 90% of our crude. So you produce 10 barrels, you only get 1 barrel to the terminal. And that in itself is not good for business. So one of the things which drove us into the refining business is utilizing, instead of us putting in the pipeline, utilizing our crude in country to develop a product slate that will meet the requirement of the target market in country. So instead of just exploiting and exporting crude, we went into the founding fathers of the business and the ownership decided that yes, we see a demand locally for diesel, we see a demand locally for naphtha, for kerosene and HFO and BPK. Let us, as a business in our own small way, contribute to closing out the gap between what is available locally at that time. So in the case of set up a business that allows us not just to extract crude, but also create value down the chain as from byproducts of crude. So the way to insulate us against crude theft and also provide a means for us to meet the demands in the country and potentially Africa as well. So it's more of a business need and also contributing to the energy demand within the country. Where do I see the future going in terms of energy demand? Because right now we're looking at going into gas. Because Nigeria has gas in abundant resources. I believe we have the largest gas reserves in Africa right now. Okay. We have over 250 to 70 TCF of gas proven. We have another 400 that is to be proven and all that. So all in all, we have the amount of gas we need to generate power in country. And today also, how many of us cook with camp gas? Okay. So clean cooking today, the demand for clean cooking, more than 60-70% of the population in Nigeria today don't have access to clean cooking. So there's a demand for clean cooking, there's a demand for gas to power. So what we're doing as Waltersmith is to not only position ourselves to provide refined products to Nigeria, we're also looking at going into providing gas for domestic use and also playing in the space of meeting the needs within that space also. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That was very comprehensive. So basically, you're looking at how you can add value to the crude oil market, to the crude oil product before, instead of it being exported. And also, you're looking at the business need and the demand, the local demand we have as a country, the gap, the energy gap we have. That's a very good one. So quickly, so Nigeria imports most of its fuel before now. So how can projects like the modular refinery, okay, how can it help to bring this trend down a little?
Thank you. Thank you a lot. That's a good question. So when we look at what we as Waltersmith do, our vision is to be a leading integrated energy business. That means that we play in the mix of the upstream, of the midstream, and the downstream. We are very present in the downstream business, which is finding mobility. As a country, what you've seen over the years is, of course, we've largely been a producer of hydrocarbons. We export it out, at a certain price, say $50 per barrel, for example. It goes to other countries where it gets refined, and then into slates, into different slates. Then it gets imported back to us. When you look at that singular barrel of crude oil that goes out and comes back to us, when we buy it, if you take out all the subsidies, everything, the full price of landing, it's way more than that. So what you see is that Nigeria, the country, has been historically disenfranchised by this import-driven slate of refined products, whether it's diesel, naphtha, HFO, and all of that. And what Waltersmith has done as a business was very early to identify this as one of the gaps to play in. Of course, historically as well, the IOCs were supposed to be able to fill that gap as they produced. As they produced, they were supposed to, of course, fill that gap, able to refine and sell within the local market, and probably even within the sub-Saharan African market. But that didn't really, for policies, for other reasons, company business strategy, the global strategies, they chose not to, and of course, that process as well. So we identified that very early on, as in the business, and we took those investment decisions, and about 2020, 2021, of course, FID and all of that, we had the first phase of the refinery, which was the 5,000 barrel of oil per day refining capacity. And what we'll see is that was a very, looking back now, that was a very pivotal moment for the business, also even for even the area where our footprints are. So now we the first phase done. Years down, of course, in that process of the first phase, on a future-looking basis, there was always the intention that there will be a phase 2, which was increase refining capacity, double it, condensate refinery as well. And currently, our strategy is that by 2030, we should be at 30,000 barrels of oil per day refining capacity. This has largely been able to, one, of course, create jobs, in the local community of play. Created several hundred of jobs. Even in terms of just what we sell, cumulatively we've sold hundreds of millions of liters of refined products, and we have footprints. We have our customer, we have our target base, our customer base. We do operate, as you know, we do operate out of Imo State, in the southeast, and we do have a market base there where we do, naphtha, everywhere oils, HFO, and those slave products. This has been this is one. Also, it has been able to at least help with our internal refining capacity, as a business, and that's very well recognized by the Nigerian government as one of those businesses and entities in that effort. Of course, we now have the likes of the big brother Dangote, and a lot of other companies as well are now taking that up as well. So I believe over the next couple of years, we will see a lot of modular refineries, because there is a massive market for it. There is a space to plug in there for our business, which is why we keep taking those decisions to be able to support and, of course, give back locally in that sense. Direct and indirect job opportunities for the locals, for local businesses, for service providers, for young engineers. So there is always there are spaces longer term for young engineers who are looking to go into refining, chemical, and other space as well. It's always great news. So I think in that sense, we've been able to see ourselves as one of the plugs into the refining capacity space. That will only increase. Like I told you, currently we are, by the end of this year, we'll be at 8,000 barrels of oil per day refining capacity. By 2030, that will be tripled, and there will just be an upward trajectory and growth for us as a business and for what we do in that space.
I think if I can have what my colleague has mentioned, with every molecule of gas that you have, if it's wet gas or dry gas, preferably wet gas with which there's something you can extract from it. Where Nigeria has been playing all the while through LNG is just exporting gas and then importing byproducts back into the country. The consciousness is there now among the independents of which we play, among the Nigerian entities, as to retaining value in country. In the sense that instead of just extracting crude oil and exporting it, then we import it in terms of plastics, in terms of what we wear and all that things. We want to export products, produce products that can meet our own demand and also regional demands across the market. So with the advent of Dangote Refinery and the modular refineries that we have today, I see a foreseeable future where Nigeria will be a net exporter of refined products, meeting the demands of Africa and potentially the rest of the world. That's coming. So there's room for more, both to meet all the footprints that we have in Nigeria, and there's room for us to become a dominant player. It will happen, and God willing to happen.
Thank you very much. Actually, the narrative is fast changing. It's fast changing. Nigeria is fast becoming the hub, the energy hub of Africa. Recently, Dangote was in Ethiopia to commission a fertilizer processing plant to be fed by the Dangote Refinery. But quickly, I don't want to be constrained by this. It's kind of impinging the thought flow. Okay, so quickly, now the narrative again is somewhat changing in the area of climate change. Okay, some are political agenda, technical insinuations, and all of that. So, looking at the issues we have concerning climate change, how do you think some of these refineries, energy strategy as a whole, as a country, we are beginning to be a major player in the downstream now? In the foreseeable future, we are going to be doing a lot of dirty PMS, DPK, and all of that. Fine, gas is coming on board. Gas, emits less carbon into the atmosphere and all of that. Where do you see Africa going in terms of stemming the tide of climate change? How do you think the oil and gas industry can incorporate cleaner energy or transform into cleaner energy in the foreseeable future?
I think you asked a very important question around energy transition, climate change, and I can speak, I either speak as a CEO, I can also speak as a support, but I'll speak as a CEO. And I'll use a typical example. So there will be, I have the privilege of, my siblings are in the States, so I tend to go to the States at least once or twice a year. The last time I was there, I go to the car service where I pick up a car at the airport. And the guy says, do you want an electric car or do you want a regular car? I'm thinking, I'm not doing an electric car yet, but I'm going to drive it. I have a choice. I said, I don't want an electric car because where I'm going to, I need charging points. Because an electric car, you have batteries that you have to charge. And to have batteries that you need to charge, you need charging points. And the charging points require power. So just think about it. If I'm driving here today with an electric car and I need to recharge, so we're doing diesel outside. There's no source for it. Okay? So energy transition is a given. It will happen. So we're going to go into cleaner energy sources. But there's a role for both oil and gas to play. What I see from where I sit is a balance between the dominance for oil right now and a shift between the dominance of oil and gas. So for Africa, we're way back when it comes to power generation. Nigeria alone, more than 67% of our population, some people have not even seen electricity yet. Okay? And we have to use our own the resource we have. So for us in the oil and gas industry and the Waltersmith, we believe in energy transition, but we believe in a just transition. And for us, it's using the resources we have to develop power, first of all, and also to meet things around clean cooking and the like. The only thing which we're doing different is the way we develop. So oil will still be developed, but you want to do it with low emission technology, and you want to do it in take out the flares, gas flaring, and the like, and take out the things that lead to pollution of the environment. So for us, and for most part of the industry today, I think for us to get where we want to go to, we need to develop the oil reserves that we have, generate the revenue in a responsible manner, and use it to develop gas. So we can close the gap in terms of our power generation. In doing that, we drive the other parts of the economy. In doing that also, we prepare ourselves for all of us driving electric cars. I'm sure the bulk of you in the room, you will drive electric cars. The kind of cars you're going to drive are yet to be made. And they will require, and they will be power intense. So it's a case of energy transition will take place. We're not ignoring it. So as a business, for instance, we're going to go into renewables, take a footprint in that. But today, will I start renewables before developing my gas? No. It's on my output as a business I will go into. But first of all, develop the oil, generate the revenue, develop the gas, deal with clean technology, contribute to removing energy poverty in Nigeria and Africa, because from an energy point of view, Nigeria and Africa were still very poor. 600 million people in Africa don't have access to electricity. A lot of people don't have access to clean cooking. So for that, develop our oil, generate the revenue, use the revenue to develop our gas in a responsible manner, distribute gas, close the energy poverty gap, and then we can just then step into renewables and the like. So the energy mix of the future, which are sources of energy, there's a significant place for clean sources of energy, which will be gas, plus renewables and the like, and there's also a place for oil. The only difference is the way we do oil in the past will be different from the way we do it in the future. We'll be doing a cleaner way.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. And quickly, just before you go, how do you see, as a petroleum engineer, how do you see the skill set you have in petroleum engineering? How do you see that being applicable to the geothermal space? Because that is also a very good source of, particularly in the upstream, that is actually a very good source of clean energy in terms of generating heat. Because for me, basically, the whole essence of the whole thing is generating heat, right? You want to generate heat from gas, you want to generate heat from petroleum products, and all of that. Okay, so in a situation where we have geothermal bringing this heat from the subsurface to the surface. Okay, so you invariably have what you're craving for in your petroleum products, in your gas products, and all of that coming through geothermal. And the good thing about it is it's available everywhere in the world, of course, different.
Well, the thing is, there are various sources of energy. The question is a function of maturity of technology and technology adoption. So with the right technology, with the right environment, with the right framework, geothermal will play a key role. And like I mentioned to the lady that wants to, the petroleum engineer, but she's thinking she wants to go into health, safety, and all that. Being a petroleum engineer prepares you to be anything you want to be. I know petroleum engineers are back empty. You say, how did the petroleum engineer look at the back empty? You have the mental ability to do that. So in terms of sources of energy of the future, geothermal has its place. There's biomass. I was recently introduced to generating power from feces from animal feces, right? Recently. And that was the first time I was hearing about it. That you can actually generate power from going to farms and taking animal feces
In that space.
in that space. So there's no doubt, there's no limit to what technology will do to us in the future and the optionality it's going to give us. But I think it's just a function of a balance between technology that is available, affordability of what we want to do, and all that. There's abundance of oil and gas resources on the ground. We're blessed with it. First thing, we use it in a responsible manner to get us out of where we want to be. Then we can then start extending our footprint to other parts of other energy sources. So for us, as Waltersmith, we want to develop and grow our reserves. We want to develop our reserves base, grow our footprint in the clean energy space, leveraging gas, and then ensure that at least we keep a lot of value in country. So we don't want to be exporting resources, crude or gas. We want to export byproducts that create value locally and within the regional markets and other markets within Africa.
Thank you very much for that. Looking at our students, we all agree that the energy space, particularly in Nigeria, a lot of divestment, you have local participation among the indigenous oil companies. There's a whole lot going on in that space. So the petroleum engineer we are training, or young trained us, and the ones we are training now, they are going into a different market, particularly looking at the reality of the oil and gas industry, particularly the role we are beginning to play in the downstream, in the midstream now. How do you think the students should prepare for this?
Thanks. I think if you look at the history of the oil and gas business, it's always been in cycles, right? And when I mean in cycles, you do have, and this goes decades back. You do have the fantastic times when the oil price, you have a really fantastic oil price, and then it will go on a slide, and then it's gone, further years. And I think I've seen that cycle quite a lot over the past 20 years plus. Even for us, living, for us who's for quite a while, living school as young graduates going to the business, we're faced with those kind of initial challenges where there were times when they were almost like you're leaving school, or is this the industry you want to go into at this point in time? You're going into the market when oil price is offering at $10 at $30. It's very, very difficult to imagine in that space. Things almost shut down. The service industry is on the low. Everybody have cutbacks and all of that. But saying that, the business has been very, very resilient, and that shows even where we are out of the business. There's always the belief that there'll be a bounce back, and they've always been. And what businesses will do is that they would take strategic points of investment, invest into the future, invest into that growth, so that you invest now to sort of get the growth down the line, despite the cycle of the business. What that also does for the engineers, of which we all are, myself and my colleagues here, is that, again, going back to my CEO's keynote speech and part of his question and answers, is that as a young petroleum engineer, as a student, as an intern, as a graduate, you need to fundamentally understand what you're doing. Right? You need to own it. You need to keep learning, because there's space for you in the business. I have to say so. There's space. Currently, we are in an upsurge upsurge growth in Nigeria. The number of rigs, the rig count in Nigeria in the past 12 to 24 months has gone up in multiples, and that just shows the level of activity set, currently, and it will keep growing, and this is partially driven by the fact that there's been a change in the landscape in Nigeria. You've got the IOCs who have divested out of the onshore and shallow water space. Of course, they've kept majorly played in the deep water, where they have direct knowledge and also investment capacity. But there's space for the young engineers. I mean, that's for sure. I can tell you that for free. There'll be space for them to come in as interns, learn in a 6-month period, during the internship period, then within the 12-month period, graduate, and get subsumed. You're good. If you're good, if you're hardworking, if you are very switched on, you're very inquisitive, you will be subsumed. I mean, that's a fact. And what we see as a business has been able to show that over the years. I lead a team of young engineers. We do have a hybrid mix of work. So we have a hybrid of young engineers, 5 years, 6 years, less than that, who are coming to our system, and they've learned, they've been able to display it. when I look at them in our organization, and when I look at some organizations I've been, I can put them side by side with some people who are much more experienced and able to keep back and forth and have very, very insightful discussions. So I would say for the young engineers, there is, looking from where we are now on a broad basis, there's so much opportunity that will keep coming. I mean, the other day, I was, I think I received a link, I think it was from my former company, and it was a link to job opportunities, which I'm sure they want to move forward and let them kind of, see where people are. And I look at the link, and it's just almost like 20 opportunities, mixed up, obviously, a bit more experience. It just shows that also there is a gap in the business currently. There's a gap in oil and gas business now in Nigeria. When people are very much needed. The pace of growth of even small companies is amazing. Everybody's trying to drill, everybody's trying to produce. And that does mean that gap needs to be filled. And that gap will be filled, obviously, also by the top of young petroleum engineers we have here. They will learn on the job, they will get trained, they'll be able to move up the ladder, both technically and very well rounded. And so for me, that's what I would say, keep doing what you're doing, keep studying, ensure you get good grades. I mean, ultimately, you could decide that you want to be an entrepreneur, for example, you want to do something else. But no matter what you do now, it's always keeping step for the future. However, you choose to progress in a career. So just keep doing that, and I can say with confidence from where I sit and what we see that there's space for you to be subsumed in the oil and gas, future oil and gas business, which is not just oil and gas in its conventional speak, but also even in terms of power, clean energy, and that whole practical and diverse space of energy mix that we have in Nigeria currently.
Thank you very much. Okay. You want to okay.
I can ask you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the thing is, how many people here have a list of current operators within the onshore and the shallow water space? How many of you? Now you know that you have that list on the computer of all the current operators of. Can I charge your exec with getting that list and sharing with everybody? You need to have that list on your OMLs, who is operating water. Because what you find is when we join the industry, you can, on the palm of your hand, say who are the operators within the onshore and the shallow water space. Today, the onshore and the shallow water space is dominated by Nigerian entities, of which the bulk of which are run by experienced hands, and there is a major crew change that is going to happen. So within those spaces, everybody is looking for the next generation. Any oil and gas project you do has a gestation period of 10 to 15 years. So if I do a gas project today, I'm doing a project that will be there for the next 10 to 20 years. 20 years from today, probably on the beach playing golf. But one of you will have to run the project I work on 20 years from today. So that awareness is there among the independents, among the Nigerian entities, that we now need to start finding the next generation. So you are coming out at a time where that next generation, build the next generation is happening. Where everyone recognize a gap that we need to now build the next competence of people that will lead Nigeria, either with the energy transition or keep the energy industry in Nigeria going. So my other advice is this: if I was in your shoes today, I mentioned I was trying to get tech job overseas. I ended up in ADA. ADA was not the highest paying. Neither did they offer me the international posting when I joined. But I grew with the company. So hate to start small. Find that small entity that allows you to build experience. So your first objective is not money. Because if you are money driven, you are going to focus on how to get to Shell, Chevron, blah, blah, blah. Find that small entity that gives you opportunity to deepen your knowledge. and give you ground and grow with it. So don't focus only that you want to get into Shell, Chevron. Not only what it's doing. That's why I say get the list. The president, that's my humble assignment to you. Get the list. So familiarize yourself with it. Who is onshore? Who is shallow water? What are they doing? What do they need? And start to cast the net. Especially those of you in year 4 and year 5. That should be something you do once a week. Launch out. Go and fishing. Once a week. You never know the day you send the CV and say, person made a phone. I've had cold calls and I say, person writes a nice note, introduces him or herself, and says, I'm doing this and this. This is what I'm going to. I may not be able to offer the person a job. Some of them are reaching me that are just, okay, keep in a graduate training consideration. I didn't get back to them, but I packed their CV somewhere. So get that list, especially you have 5 people, please. As they are studying to get 7 points in their top courses, you have to dedicate even just 1 hour a week. Your Saturday, do research, which companies out there. There is the operator, there is the service industry, there is the R&D industry, the study groups that you can join. Just make sure that you're looking for a place where you can give your knowledge, not what you fill in your pocket. Money, you may not get a lot of money day one, but once you have the knowledge, it will catch up with time. And there are a lot of growing companies looking for young people ready to work and ready to grow at this time. That would be my advice. What I'll add to what my colleague Manuel said. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You are always putting the icing on the cake. And it's always very thank you very much for that contribution, sir. Well, does that sound like what I always tell the 300 level students? Right? Okay, so it's usually it's beyond the Y, the X. Okay, while you have your head in here, you have to look at what is happening out there. You mentioned earlier that you need to have this holistic knowledge. I think I get on that. Systemic knowledge. Sorry, system thinking. Okay, how does the system work? Okay, different parts, how do they integrate and how do they come together? And so one of the ways is that. Okay, so as a lecturer now, I have the document you are talking about. How did I get it? Okay, majority of the regulatory agencies we have, I follow them on LinkedIn. So NUPRC posted it at one. That was where I picked it from. So instead of scrolling through, like you said, if you are going to scroll through, make sure it is something meaningful. Okay, you are picking out of that kind of activity. So it's very important. What are you consuming? Okay, what you are consuming now will lead you to where you are going to find yourself next. Okay, thank you very much for that once again, sir. So quickly, I'll link that again to the industrial hub Waltersmith is currently building. What sort of opportunities do you think is still available for young people, early career starters? What kind of opportunities do you think is available for them in that space?
Okay. The thing, Waltersmith, we started off as a core upstream business, producing and selling crude. We pivoted into a bit of midstream and downstream with the set of our refinery more than 5 years ago now, and that has done very well. We're now setting ourselves up to become an integrated energy business that's essentially leveraging both oil and gas resources. And the whole intent of that is we're creating an industrial park, an energy infrastructure park that is going to be gas-based, within which we will we'll have a viable upstream business. Our oil and gas business will continue to provide feedstock for midstream gas business, LNG, LPG, and provide clean cooking and the like, and the expansion of our refining business into petrochemicals and the like. If you follow the big brother within the refining business, Dangote, right now it's gone into petrochemicals, doing fertilizer, but the startup point was the refinery. So within our own space in Imo State, we've set up an industrial park. We have a free trade zone, and the whole idea is that within that industrial park, we're going to have gas-based industry. So you have a midstream, LNG, midstream, LPG company, and the likes. So if I'm to market Waltersmith a bit, if you close your eyes, for those in final year today, when do you graduate next year? December this year. Okay? By December this year, we'll have expanded and refined to 10,000. Within the next 2 years, we'll have a viable midstream gas business. So we'll be doing LPG, doing LNG, and we're going to do power generation. So depending on where anybody wants to play, if you join us today as a young engineer, the intent is that we'll give you the right training that allows you to play across the value chain. So the kind of individuals we're looking for today, I'm not looking for someone that just wants to be a straight-jacketed development engineer. You can start from home, but you must also have the ability to move across the business part time. We still do petroleum economics, right? Do you guys do PSCs and JVs types of agreements?
Yes, sir.
It's the same thing in the industry. Petroleum economics, I think I was taught by Professor Molly. Okay?
I'm actually taking.
I'm taking that. Okay. You see, when we say system thinking, engineers will like 1 plus 1 is 2. It's not always 1 plus 1 is 2. There's money to be made. That's the ultimate. So you have to understand it from finding it to turning it into value. And it turns into value when it makes money. Okay? So the key thing is this. We want people that can, you have depth and you have ability to. So as a young individual, understand petroleum engineering, understand reservoir engineering, production engineering, drilling and the likes. So please understand economics. Petroleum economics. So that when you want to sell yourself, if you're in an interview, for instance, they ask you to describe what can you do. You take it from when I find it, from value identification to value realization, and you can describe the flow. It might just be that thing that differentiates you and takes you across the table. So it has to be beyond just the technical, you must have a complete view. You must also have a bit of extra things that you can bring to the table. So that's the thing I'll ask. So for us, Industrial Park provides us a platform to fulfill the vision of the founders and ownership and the board of our team. In the sense that we want to create a platform where we move away from oil and gas extraction to oil and gas end products and value creation, both to impact the economy of the country, meet the needs that we have in country, and also allows us to start exporting finished products to Africa and the land. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. So I'll quickly go to you, sir. Your refinery project and several other projects you've been involved in. What sort of government policy or government ways or way of doing things would you like to see change to help your some of the projects you're involved in? What sort of government policy would you like to see change in the foreseeable future? Are you looking at seeing the PIA being amended? Because I like they are talking about amendment now, sir. Right? Okay. Would you like to see the PIA getting amended in the nearest foreseeable future? Or would you like to see executive orders, suspending certain taxes or certain policies? What do you see in the foreseeable future in terms of government intervention when it comes to policy?
I think if we look at as a country and as a business in the oil and gas business in Nigeria over the past years and decades, it's gone through different fiscal policies. It's changed over the years. The way JV, PSC, store risk, whether it's the big fields, marginal fields, deep water, shallow, onshore, it's changed significantly with PIA, right? And the whole intention was to provide a lot more clarity, was also to ensure protection for the state, and of course also for the provide investors that sort of assurance that business, can continue and they can always invest with the investment being protected as well. While that has now, we've added now for some years now, we've seen its evolution and its applicability to the business. I think there are still areas in which always cause for improvement, right? And I believe that it's always a continuously ongoing conversation. Like you've mentioned, some aspects of it are still being looked into. We've seen a few executive orders by the president. For example, executive orders around simplification of contracting processes, just to make it much easier, much streamlined, much nimble, and with a quicker turnaround. That was a big plug in the real program, just how contracts get by how contracts get initiated to award the execution was quite for most businesses. That has largely been simplified. But of course, again, part of the issue is also being able to transition from executive orders or from what's on paper to reality, right? And that reality is still there, in my view, in my opinion, it's still there largely for some of the businesses. I think that's one of the areas in which there will be improvement and over time. It's not going to get completely done and 100% done in a day. Take that bit of review, iteration, knowledge sharing, and I would say the setup with the commission, the NPLC, and the other political commissions have largely been very effective. The collaboration with them has been much better. They are enablers of the business. And they've been very, I would say they've provided a very great enabling environment for us. Just being able to meet our objectives, our work program, the deployment, our training programs. It could get better, clearly. It could be faster, it could be much more nimble. But as you can expect, there's also a bit of constraints around that, either it's personnel constraints or just the way the process has to evolve. So I think that's one part to that will help. The other part for us as a business is around, and that is one of the parts in which we are going into the space is deep opportunity maturation, right? And that support in terms of regulatory support and that enabling environment to allow businesses and entities, all and gas places to be able to play. When you look at our resources at the moment, reserves and everything, there is a lot of scope, scope for recovery. There's a lot of contingent resources associated with exploration plays, prospective resources as well, a lot of it. They would take a different mindset to develop just because they're deeper, for example, they're much deeper. There's what they call the periodic sequence. So beyond where we're currently producing mostly in the onshore assets, you add the same sequence even deeper down. It requires different, for example, different drilling requirements, for example, and we teach. We also look to the enablers, like commission in terms of incentives. I think that's something that we discussed. We know that those discussions are ongoing, and we've also been part of those discussions with the government. So I think that's also one part that will enable, because the benefit there longer term is immense. Immense. Those are good projects. Those are stuff that will literally double the size of your business, of the company, and even evaluation. So that needs to be one of those parts. The other bit, I think, the last one I'll probably say is funding. And I think funding it's not the easiest of things, especially for a small business, just growing, whether you've strictly what we call the marginal field. Even though at a PIA, it's no marginal field, right? It's just some cost. But of course, in reality, some businesses see themselves as marginal field, right, in terms of your production and your output. So historically, that's always been difficult, just getting that right funding, be able to have access to your work program and the growth. Sometimes for the right reasons, some of these entities have had access to funding in which they just have not been judiciously used. So there's a bit of precedence of that as well. But I think that's something we need to better at in terms of local funding. Because again, getting access to national funding is always really, it's not the easiest of things to do. I mean, there's a lot of conditions precedent that you need to go through, and it's not the easiest of things. But in terms of the local funding space, I think hopefully that will get robust as businesses get stronger, able to demonstrate operational excellence, able to increase production output. Lenders, financiers will naturally come to you, but also we believe that the government to over time to also have a role to play in that. And I think when we look at those needs, I think do that for all as a business. That's very critical in terms of how we also invest in the business.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That was very comprehensive. How many of you okay? So I usually say this in my petroleum economics. Okay, you are going to be hired not because you have been liked. Okay, it is what you can bring on board, right? The kind of problems you can solve. And he has rightly highlighted some of the problems that have been faced by the industry. Okay, so typically what you should do is to see how you can prefer solutions to some of these problems, right? Okay, so when you are going to come on board, you want to look at a situation whereby you can intelligently contribute to conversations that centers around solving some of these problems. Okay, so I would just quickly like you to look at the proposed PIA. I mean, is it not too early? Because I heard they are moving that. And how, if at all, amendment is going to happen, how do you think that is going to help Waltersmith?
I think the passage of the PIA closed the major gap, and it brought about the much needed stability in the oil and gas industry. I think the federal government of Nigeria and the NUPRC and all the regulatory bodies, everybody involved in the fight with the PIA requires a lot of communication. The PIA took forever between when it was a bill and when it was passed. But all in all, it got passed at a time whereby if you compare the state of industry when it was started as a bill and when it was passed, a lot of things have moved. If you look at Africa alone, and you look at oil producing center, when the PIB was started, the PIB started as the industry, petroleum industry bill. And today, all the other competing centers for funds, for capital, both human and financial capital today, it's different. You didn't like the like of Mauritius, the like of other centers where the Ghana and the like, where you have crude oil and gas production right now, where we have the PIB. So I believe part of the reason why it's being revisited, like any bill, we've had it for about 2 years plus now. And with anything, same with the jobs that we have, we get revisited every 3 years, we evaluate it. With anything, it does call for some updates. It's on for 3 years, taking the cue from everything that's going on outside of Nigeria, for us to remain competitive, for us to remain a dynamic and evolving oil and gas industry. I would say a revision right now is not uncomfortable, not uncomfortable. It's just that it has to be handled carefully in such a way that it doesn't set us back. It has to be handled in such a way that it builds on the good successes that we've had with the passage of the PIA. So a revisit, an update, is it necessary? I believe so. It's just that it has to be handled well. Carefully curated, carefully handled, and it builds. It projects us forward and it doesn't set us back. That's what I'll put it. Any bill, any act that you put in place, you need to go back, we get some things right. We've seen it in action for about 3 years, and there are things that we need to change, and I believe that's what's triggering the changes and the revisit by the federal government through the House. I believe that that can be handled properly. If it's handled properly, well curated, and done in the right way, it can only build on the successes of the PIA.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. So we are going to be rounding up very soon. So in 1 minute, actually you've technically answered the question, the last question I had here. And I'm going to be giving you the same template. So I'm going to you have to give one piece of advice, just one line of advice to our students on how to approach the future, what the future holds. What would that be? Just one.
I think so. We're all together. I've been with my colleagues again. I repeat, and I've sat here. Okay, what a good. We've still sat at the laboratory. Gone up. For years, we did that here. And when I look at my last year leaving the petroleum department and especially exiting into the street, I knew I was going to make it. I knew I'll go to the streets and I will be okay. I think it was a feeling that you just knew, living and just being very resilient. Very, very, very long nights, short days, non-stop. I used to live in Menambi, I live in town as well. Walking back forth daily, just the grueling. I just knew that there was no other life that was tougher than this. Once I left the gates of the University of Ibadan, went into the streets. And that what it did was that it taught me a lot of tenacity, resilience, and never I think I'll pause to I'm talking about resilience and tenacity, and when I look at him, it's an embodiment of that. It was part of my formative years in the industry, because I would say for me the industry started once I came into the department, and they were the mentors, coaches who held us through that journey. So what I would say is that you need to be resilient.